Hi everyone, this is Kimberly Benjamin, your Master HR Compliance Coach, and I'm here today to talk about preparing for next year. What can we do to redesign our lives? What are those questions we should ask ourselves to help us to make sure that we're moving around along the right path as relates to our life? So as you're coming in, feel free to say hello. I'm excited to be back, and I wanted to come out here just to give you some tips and to ask you some key questions that you should be able to answer so you're able to know if you're redesigning your life, you're heading in the right direction, you're doing the right things so that you are walking in your purpose. So for those of you that are joining, feel free to say hello and feel free to hit the share button to share this video with other people that could also, use the tips, help them to get refocused. I tell you, right now is a perfect time to start thinking about what can we do to redesign our lives. We're in a brand new quarter now. I know it seemed like the year is just flying by really fast. And I want to ask you some critical questions that can help you to identify, okay, what do you need to work on? How are you as relates to obtaining your goals? What are those things you need to do? So for those of you that are joining, hello again. My name is Kimberly Benjamin. Welcome. Come on in, everyone. I see that Margaret, you're here. Jesse, that you're here. Louis, that you're here. Thank you for joining, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And I'm excited to be back. I tell you, one of my goals for this month is to come out here every day and to answer questions as relates to job, purpose, or business and human resources. So I'm really excited to be here. So the very first thing I want you to be mindful of is that in a brand new quarter, which we're in now, it's a perfect opportunity for you to evaluate where you are as relates to your life and your goals. Have you really move forward in that direction in achieving those goals that you have given? You said you're going to do at the beginning of the year. I tell you, once the first 3 months go by, it seems like, wow, the year goes by quick. So I want you to grab your pen and paper because I want to ask you some questions and I want you to think about it. And who knows, you may need to watch this video a couple of times so you're able to really spend the time on yourself and your development as relates to redesigning your life. So the very first thing I want you to know is that we're coming up against this beautiful season of spring. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, right? But some of the rain, some of you may had snow recently. I know we did here in Michigan. But we really are getting ready for a new season. And whenever we think of a new season, we think of growth, we think of flowers blooming, we think of a spring cleaning, right, if you will. So take this video as a way for you to kind of just jumpstart your spring cleaning as relates to your life as well as to your goals. So welcome to spring, everyone. With the rain and snow and all, but welcome to spring. But whenever there's a new season, it gives us an opportunity to grow. It gives us an opportunity to change. Everybody type in change down below. Type in change, CHANGE. It gives us an opportunity to change and to really evaluate, are we really moving in the right direction? So the very first thing that I would have you to do, a tip for you, is for you to get out your pen and paper and write down, evaluate, where are you? Are you close to obtaining your goals, achieving your goals? Right now, are you really happy with your life? And if you're not really happy where you are right now in your life right now, write down what are those categories, what are those areas that you're not pleased with, that you really want to take a deeper dive into and stay focused on for the rest of the year so that you're able to obtain those goals as relates to your life. So what are those areas that you're not pleased with? And whatever those things are, whatever those areas are, it's going to be different for everyone. So get out your sheet of paper, get out your pen, and write down what are those things that you're not pleased with. What are some of the areas you really need to focus on? For some of you, it may be your relationships. It may be your finances. And right now, we're right upon tax season. So if you haven't done your taxes yet, you may want to write that down in your notes, right? To get those taxes done, y'all, it's going to be time up soon. So make sure you are moving forward towards that. For some of you, it may be your credit. You've been saying, I've been wanting to get my credit together. You want to be able to save money and pay down your bills, pay down your credit, whatever it is for you. And you're not pleased with that area yet, write that down. I want to make sure that you don't lose focus as it relates to obtaining that goal. Another thing I always like to mention too, right now is a perfect time for you to purge. It's a perfect time for you to evaluate, what do you have, what are you holding on to right now that you really need to let go of? And even though some people may think it may be people, I'm going to submit to you, it may be things, it may be stuff, things that you've had for a while around in your house things you had in your closet that you need to, it doesn't fit anymore. When it comes to spring cleaning, sometimes we have to evaluate what is too tight, right? What is out of date, what is old, what doesn't fit, what doesn't suit you. So go through your closet, look through your home. What are some of the things that you can bless someone else with? What are the things that you need to purge and remove from your life? For some of you, it may be bad habits, certain habits that you had that you've been saying, okay, I need to go ahead and stop it. I want you to really evaluate yourself and say, okay, this is true. I really need to do this. This isn't going anywhere. And you're the only person that can do something with it. But a lot of times we hold on to things. We hold on to stuff. We hold on to people. We hold on to clothes. We hold on to ideas. Who knows? It may be even a career or that position that you're even holding on to, but you know that you've kind of outgrown it as well. So whatever that is for you that's too tight, it doesn't fit you well, you've been holding on to it, or it's emotional baggage, things you haven't been able to let go of, now is the perfect time for you to redesign your life. And we really are in control of that. And I submit to you this, I can hear people say, well, what is redesigning my life? What does that look like, Kimberly? Do I really have the control over my life? Do I have the control over my destiny, my purpose, my future? Yes, you do. And it starts with taking one step at a time. And that one step, for some of you that are watching this video right now, may just be writing it down, getting clear as to where you are. And I see that, Elaine, you're here, Tay-Tay. Hi. I know I call you Tay-Tay. Love you. But redesigning your life. And I'm going to give a shout out to Elaine, to Tay-Tay. She is someone that I love dearly. And as a child, I've always received envelopes in the mail with motivational statements and scriptures as a woman. And she played a critical role. Yes, I'm going to say it right now on this live, Tay-Tay. She played a critical role in me being the woman who I am today. And I thank God for her. And I can see how that has stayed with me throughout my years, and I know that's helped me to be the person that I am, helping people with being a Proverbs 31 woman and just being a woman of God. So I really appreciate all of your support and prayers and teachings along the way for me. And so for everyone that's watching this, again, evaluate where you are. This is a perfect time in this new season for you to go before the Lord and say, okay, Lord, what do I need to let go of? What have I been holding on to that I really do need to let go? What are some of those struggles or those fears that you didn't want to admit? You don't have to admit it to me. But spend some time before the Lord and admit it to Him, and then do something about it. Do something about it. And that's critical to redesigning your life too, right? Identifying what you need to work on and actually do it. So we talked about this is the perfect season to grow. So for those of you who are saying, well, Kimberly, how can I grow? What are the things you need to develop in? Do you need to grow with your understanding with finance? I mentioned that earlier. Some of you may say, Kimberly, I'm tired of the job that I'm in. Is it time for you to grow into a different career, go into a different area, a different industry? Don't be afraid. I tell you, I know what it's like being able to work in different industries. I've worked in the manufacturing industry. I also worked in nonprofit industry, that world is, and I worked in education. I mean, all those industries are different. And there may be a learning curve to it, I'll be honest, there's a learning curve. But I tell you, it feels really good to be able to know that, okay, you can do it. That's one thing I always like to share with my clients is that, when I do their resumes, we focus on what are those transferable skills that you have, and no matter what industry or company that you work for, that can carry and can go with you to your next destination, to your next employer, to your on your next journey. So it doesn't matter what industry, you can do it. You can make that transition. And for some of you, that may be it. I had a conversation today with a client on the phone as well, and it was so funny, it was so cute. She says, I'm going to send you my resume, and I know you're going to laugh, and I'm going to send you 5 different versions of it, and you can probably say, what's wrong with this girl? She's kind of moved all over the place and stuff, and we just kind of laughed about it. But if that's the case, that's okay. I'm a true believer that all of the experiences that you go through in life, all the experiences that I go through in life, that is preparing us for that next step. Somehow it's going to be used. We may not have all the answers, you may not have all the answers, but it's going to be used. So don't be negative or be concerned about your past as it relates to you being in different industries. So here's some questions I want you to think about. I want you to meditate on, ponder, and you can watch this video to go over the questions later on. But the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you need to prepare for your next career? What do you need? What are the steps that you need to do to prepare for your next job, your next career, your relationship? What do you need to do to prepare for your next as you're redesigning your life? Here's my second question for you. What do you have in your house that you need to get rid of? What do you have too much of that you've been holding on to for whatever reasons? This is a perfect time to purge. And I know my sister, she attends New Providence Baptist Church, and they have their free clothing and shoe drive giveaway every year. I think it's the 18th year now where they're doing it. So every year we go through the house and we think of things that we can purge. So just for you, think about, what are the things that you need to get rid of? What are those things that are overflowing in your drawers, overflowing in your closets, things you may have in your basement? All the extra stuff that you bought, you haven't even tried on yet, it still has the tags to it. Bless somebody, whomever it is, with it, because again, that's something that can really help them, right? It'll help you to free up space so that God is able to give you more and to give you the right things that you need. And it could be a blessing to other people who are waiting for the next. They're waiting for their next. And that's something that they really needed. Here's another question I want to ask you. What's in your life or in your career right now that's too tight? It doesn't fit you anymore. It doesn't, when you try it on or when you're in it, you feel some resistance. You know that this isn't where you're supposed to be. It doesn't look well on you. Or I even submit to you this: evaluate your attitude. Some of you may be in a position where you may be quick to wanting to move, right? And you're saying, oh wow, Kimberly is saying it's time for me to move. I'm not saying that. I'm giving you an opportunity to think about these things. Because for some of us, it may be that this is a perfect time for you to evaluate how you've been acting in that particular situation. Yep, I'm still talking about redesigning your life, but this is the hard one, okay? Because it requires us to think about ourselves and what we need to do. So for some people on this live, watching this video, it may be you. It may not be time for you to leave, but in your heart of hearts, you know you've kind of given up on working with your boss. You may want to leave. You know, I want you to be mindful that maybe you need to evaluate your relationship with your boss. What are things that you can do to change so you can change that whole working environment where you work and redesign your life where you work? I know that's a tough one. I'm not even going to say that's simple. I've been there. I know what it's like to be in an environment where you're like, why are they doing this to me? I don't feel comfortable. You know, there may be favoritism going on, or you may have to document everything you're doing, and you're like, why are things changing? When they hired me, I didn't have to go through all this extra stuff. I know what it's like. But instead of us being quick to move and quick to give up and quick to say, okay, it's my time to leave, I'm going to challenge you, it may be you, to evaluate yourself. Have you really been acting your best or performing at your highest level? Is it really your attitude? Have you really done all that you could do to have a better relationship with your boss? Have you been praying for your supervisor, right? That's something that I did with a client of mine last week. She had some concerns with her supervisor, and the Lord, during our coaching session, we ended up praying for her supervisor as well, because that person needs support and prayer as well. So again, evaluate ourselves and say, okay, Lord, is this time for me to go, or do I need to change my behavior? Do I need to change my actions? Do I need to change my heart towards my supervisor? Here's another question I want you to think about. What areas in your life are you uncomfortable in right now? What are some of those things that may be stretching you a little bit to grow, that once you felt that little tug of stretch, you kind of just pulled back because you didn't want to work anymore on it? But identify those areas that you really need to develop as a professional, as a person, as a man of God, as a woman of God. What are things you need to stretch and grow and develop in for yourself? And then my last question, let's see here, I'll have you. What are some seeds that you need to plant? We're talking about birth and regrowing and springtime and flowers blooming and change and all of that, right? So I want to ask you, what are some seeds that you need to plant in this season? Or better yet, what have you been planting? I know many of us received the word that this is the year of abundant harvest, right, this year. And with that, we have to be mindful, what have we been planting? You can get an abundance harvest of something great or an abundant harvest of something that's not so great. So this is a perfect time to say, okay, Kimberly, say to the Lord as you're spending time with him, going, what do I need to work on? And don't be afraid to sow seed. And I've always been told this, the thing that you want and need the most, that's where you need to sow, right there. So if it's financial things that you need, for financial blessing, then sow, give. Go before the Lord as to what you should sow regarding finances. But don't be afraid to give. Don't be afraid to evaluate yourself. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to stretch. Don't be afraid to redesign your life, because you have the power to be able to do that. So I want to thank you all. I'm excited to be back, everyone. Again, my goal is to be out here every day giving you some tips. And a lot of you know that I'm an HR compliance coach. So if you have questions regarding HR stuff, business stuff, resume stuff, personal stuff too, you have questions, feel free to send me an inbox, a message. I'll also provide my email address too if you have a longer question you want to ask. But every day I plan on coming out here and answering questions and providing tips. But until then, everybody, remember that this is a great day to start living your life on purpose. And you do have the keys and the power to redesign your life. Make it beautiful. Bye-bye, everyone.